Alright, so let's create a couple methods to move our potato gun weapon around and fire it, and then another one to actually use the WASD keys to drive um, our little toy car. And what I'll do in another video is show you how to hook that up to a controller. It's actually pretty easy. So I'm just going to make a variable called update potato gun. So I copied my potato gun from up here, and I'm just going to throw an update in front, capitalize that. Now what you'll notice is it's throwing in this red error here, and that's because we've never created the actual method, just the method call. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Alt Enter in the front here and hit Enter again, and it'll create that for us. And then I want to create another one that just says update car control, because we have the toy car control here. And then I'm just going to hit Alt Enter on this and make that variable, or I'm sorry, that method as well. So what I'm thinking is when Alina gets in the car and drives around, you'll use the WASD keys for now, and then you'll be able to sort of use your cursor to point our potato gun. Because remember, we moved that pivot point down here, so it'll kind of pivot off that. And if I click over here, it'll fire in that direction. So let's go ahead and do a couple things. Remember, we have this elapsed time variable here, and we have this shoot rate variable. Well, let's use these to control how much time has passed to give us the ability to load our potato gun. The other thing is I might create an animation that plays that once you left click, it'll play the animation of Alina loading the potato gun. So that might be fun for you all to see as well. So here's our update potato gun. And so inside of here, I'm going to do if tab tab, and I'm just going to check if we push that mouse button. So input dot get mouse button down. And then inside of here, I'm going to throw a 0. And that refers to the left mouse button. So if we press our left mouse button, we want to do something. So what I'm going to do is say, and remember, elapsed time here isn't really equal to anything. So we have to set that value somewhere. We have to reset the timer. So outside of this if statement, what I want to do is after well, we'll come back to that. So let's just start off with the firing mechanic. So I'm going to say elapsed time plus equals time dot delta time. Now, what this is doing is this is incrementing our timer. So if I was to grab this and just do a debug.log here, so debug.log, and I save this out and I go ahead and press play. It's a capital L? Is that why? Yeah, there we go. It's a capital L. Okay. So I'm going to hit Control Shift and C in here to open up my console. Don't worry about these. I'll clean up all the errors before we do our final build. You'll notice that we don't get anything. And that is because we never pushed the left mouse button. Alright, so let's try that again. So I'm going to press the left mouse button. And come on, don't make me look silly. Oh, I'll fix that as well. So, oh, I'm not clicking it down here. There we go. So you can see as I left click the mouse button, you can see the elapsed time. So what we're doing is we're storing a reference to whatever the time is. So that's great, but what are we doing with it? Well, when we let's make sure that we make sure our comment is the same. So when we click our left mouse button, time is stored. Time is stored. There we go. Okay, so we click our left mouse button. Then what we want to do is say within this, I'm going to throw another if statement. If our elapsed time is greater than our shoot rate. Now, if you remember our shoot rate up here, so it's half a second, right, roughly? So if our elapsed time has gotten bigger, so remember that value that we were spitting out in here? So if this gets higher than 0.5, then what we'll do, because remember our elapsed time is growing, what we'll do is we'll fire our bullet. So we'll instantiate our potato, actually. Let's do instantiate. And what I'm going to instantiate is my potato. So I'm going to rename this potato. I need to keep this all. This is a public variable, so I'm going to make that capital. And this is really just a coding convention. So depending on the studio you're at, you know. So, and the potato that, and where I want to fire from is my um, really we need to change a lot of this stuff so it makes better sense. Instead of a turret, we don't. I was thinking of initially making this a tank. We're gonna do potato gun spawn point. So let's make sure that this is potato rotation speed. There we go. Okay. And on top of that, I didn't even put my underscores in front of these guys. All right, so let's do that. Control RR. Man, I am like on fire for not doing this right today. So let's do this. There we go. And I haven't used these yet, so it doesn't matter. All right, so we have potato spawn point, and then we have our game object potato. Okay, so what we want to do is grab our potato spawn point from up here. And all I'm going to say here is instantiate potato. And then where am I going to instantiate it from? Well, I want to do it from the position of that first muzzle, right? So, and I also want to do it from the rotated direction of our potato spawn point. So here's our rotation. Okay, so if we go down here, oh, we don't want to do transform. Sorry, we want to do position. Jeez. Okay, that shouldn't give us any errors. There we go. All right, so if I go down here, so we could take a look at this, and let's see what's going on with this error too. So here's our error, and we have the element here. Oh, I know what the problem is. Do you see how I have a kid's car controller here, and then on my potato gun, I have the script as well? I need to remove that because we're getting an index out of error on that line of code. Let me open that up. See how it's saying we have a reference. This is, say this is the highest level, right? So here's our highest level. When we say get child 0, we're getting this child. And then in here, we're saying get child 0 again, and that's what's getting this one right here. Well, when we had it attached to, see, this is getting this child. When we had the script on here, it was looking for 2 children ahead. So if I clear this now, or just press play, you should see, there we go, it's still running. It's running fine. All right, so we got that. Let's see, potato spawn point. We should be able to test this in a second. You know what? Let's give that a shot. So I'm going to use my favorite Unity plugin and make a, let's see, we'll make a cube. I'll hit build on that, and then let's go ahead and smooth that out, or subdivide it rather. Let's see, is it going to let me do that without being in face mode or edge mode? I guess not. All right, there we go. So let's go to face mode. Double click this. There we go. And then let's subdivide object. Let's do that trick. Come on, select everything. There we go. There we go. Okay. Man, it does not want to. Here, we'll just do it this way. So we'll grab this vert, pull it forward, and then we'll round out all of these. Creating our potato projectile here. Scale these down a little bit. Let's center this. Here we go. And then I wonder if I'm trying to understand why it's not. Let's see if that does it. Local. why it's selecting off of that corner. Well, I'm gonna have to look into that to see why I can't get the pivot to, I mean, we have a center pivot or a set pivot there, but um, so anyway, I'm gonna end this here. Well, actually, we want to test our pivot. What am I talking about? We want to test our potato. So I'm just gonna scale this down. And then we can make a better looking potato later. So let's center the pivot there. And you'll see like this is our potato gun. Alright, so we also probably want to write some scripts that adds a rigid body and force and all that. So I'm just going to add a rigid body now because we need a bullet script to actually fire this thing. But right now we have a rigid body with gravity. And I'm going to go into my prefabs here. And let's see. I'll make an objects or folder called objects and prefabs here. Thought I had one in there. Objects. And then within this objects folder, I'm going to create another folder and just call it projectiles. Because it would be cool, like eventually, that I can. Did I spell that? P? I can't even see that. And then I'm going to grab my potato. I could make a bunch of different projectiles. So right now, this is just a placeholder potato. Alright, so here's this. Let's go to our kid's toy car. Notice that we have a potato there, so I'm going to drag our potato here. I'm going to press play. And I don't think I'm calling my weapon, am I? Let's see. What's going on with my camera? You know what? I forgot one other thing. So, spawn our potato. And then reset our timer. So, elapsed time equals 0.0f. So that's resetting our timer. So every time we push the mouse button, and we're calling it from update, and we press the button, we instantiate this from the spawn point position, which is the child. It should be okay. Let's save all of that. Let's see if this is working now. And I'm going to make elapsed time a lot smaller. And I'm going to make it a serialized field so that we can tweak it in the editor. So and then we can take a break and end this video. So elapsed time is 0. So let's make it, well, elapsed time is set. That's actually not what I want to do. Let's do, wrong one. Let's do shoot rate as a serialized field. And let's make this 0.1, which is a lot quicker, because 0.5 might be too long. Alright, let's see. If I press play here, and I click this, there we go. See how it fires off? It just takes a while. Come on. There we go. So we probably want to tweak that shoot rate. So let's try 0.1 here. Probably fire a lot quicker. Now there we go. You can see that now. Alright, that's the end of this video.